All right, welcome back to Timmy Academy. Today, I think what we're going to be talking about is grading. This is one of the more important sides of either buying or selling a collection. I figured it's a good opportunity. I'm sitting here and grading I just graded about 600 cards, maybe 700 cards. It took me, I would say, an hour to an hour and a half to thoroughly do this. And you can see the distribution here of, actually let's get a better shot of that distribution. So you've got near mint on the far left, LP in the middle, moderately played, heavy played, straight up damaged. So this is from two fairly large collections. One was a pretty small collection, and one was the large one. I don't know if the video will be uploaded before this video is uploaded, but it was a large collection purchase down in New Orleans. And so what I do when I get a collection is I'll take out all the higher value stuff first. So you see, and I'll grade those, and I'll do listings on Facebook. All the different groups, all the buy-sell groups in Facebook, and sell most of the higher-end stuff direct to customers on Facebook, and do a 10% off of TCG low per condition. So I started with 47 dual lands, revised duels, on I believe I made the post of Friday. Now it's Sunday. I think I'm down to 13. So like this kind of stuff, let's see, there we go, we're focused. Even, $20+ cards, I'll do the Facebook post. I'll grade those right away. And what that allows you to do, and here's that's what I do. I'll write on the sleeve the price and the condition, and then just kind of lay them out and do pictures of everything. But what that allows you to do as far as the Facebook post is concerned is, one, net 90% of TCG low on it. So if you paid 70%, there's your 20% profit right there. And two, since it's all direct sales, that allows you to recoup your capital very quickly. When you list on TCGplayer, it takes a couple weeks. Well, let's see. I think from the time of selling, it takes maybe a week to a week and a half to get paid. So actually, let's go into, I'll show you this. So that's this is the portal in TCGplayer. So the top one is not scheduled, so that's the orders that just came in. The second one down is going to be the oldest payment, and then the one at the bottom, the payment initiated on 8/20, so what's today, the 9th? So that looks like 11 days out, and that's the oldest one. So those would have been shipped out probably on Friday or something like that. So the 7th. So yeah, you're looking at almost 2 weeks before TCGplayer initiates the payment, and then usually it's about 2 weeks by the time you get paid. So what I like to do is take care of the big stuff first, and then when that kind of slows down, I'll go back. I've already, I pull these all out of the collections when I get them in and I go through, and then I'll grade these kind of next and then upload onto TCGplayer. And this is where a lot of the profit's going to be, right? The big stuff kind of recoups your capital, and then you just kind of let the profit trickle in over the next month or so. But we're talking about grading, but I wanted to go a little bit into how I go about breaking down a collection when it comes in, and kind of what the steps are. So, took me about an hour and a half to grade these. We've got all our little piles, and I'll probably upload all the near mints tonight, maybe half of the LP. The uploading takes a long time. I like to manually upload because as I'm manually uploading, I'm touching the cards again and I'm kind of regrading them or double checking them as I upload them to ensure that it's the grade listed. And I am a strict grader. If you sell a collection to me and it's not in good condition or it's not in the stated condition that you said, I will come back to you and I'll be like, hey, you know, we talked about this price and we talked about this grade, and you know, it's in much worse condition. I've done that a couple times recently. So these damaged and HP cards pretty much all came from the smaller collection that I had purchased from a gentleman. I contacted him. I did a video of that. I don't know if it's up yet. It was just 2 binders and a couple bulk cards. I talk about the condition issues in the video, but most of these damaged and HP cards came from that collection, and he didn't disclose that there was any damaged or HP cards. There was one that was pretty bad. It was a Bloom Tender. There were a few that were pretty bad, but there was one high-end one that was pretty bad. So I actually contacted him. He was very nice. He offered to send me a little bit of money back, and I think it, you know, in the end, I think it all worked out well. I don't think I'll be turning a huge... I really gotta get better at this. I keep forgetting to delete all my uploaded videos off of the camera, and so the camera will just stop about 3-4 minutes in after the SD card is full. I promise, you know, I'll learn and get better, guys. I suck pretty good at the beginning of something, but then I never stop growing. So that's my promise to you. So like I said, you know, the guy sent some money back. I don't think I'll turn a huge profit on that collection. I think I'll probably make a couple $100, but whatever. It's the game. It's the hustle. So, oh, and before I forget, tonight we are drinking a Shochikubai Nagori unfiltered sake. Something a little lighter. Yeah. Anyway, so when looking at grading, it's imperative when you're buying or selling a collection to know the grade of the cards. Especially with the older... Here we don't have any alpha, beta, anything crazy. It's just, this is a lot of mid-level cards. I've already pulled all the fancy stuff out, all the high-end stuff out, all the stuff I'm going to keep. But it's imperative with the older cards especially to know the grades, because the swings can be insane. A swing on an alpha card from near mint to moderately played is extremely high. So I'm gonna see if we can kind of grade. I have a light set up. Okay, so here's my light source. Always have a good light source set up that's shining towards the cards, but I don't like it right on top. I like it kind of coming in at the side, because it allows you, let's see if we can, it allows you to get that shine on the card. Now, I think where a lot of people misgrade cards, and I think where this collection was misgraded, was a lot on the surface. Because people look at a card like that, right? And let's take something black border, that'll be easy. Like the Sky Cloud Expanse, for instance, right? It looks great. There's no dings or anything on the card. I graded this in LP, so it's not going to be in terrible condition. But you shine the light on it, and you can start to see some surface imperfections. See that on the middle bar right there. And especially on the back, you definitely want to check the back too, because the back's important for grading as well. Sometimes people, I think, just look at the front, see there's a little bit of surface imperfection. So the light is going to help you a lot. You know, when you look at the card just like this with no light, most people are looking at the edges to see if there's wear, edge wear, or anything like that. But once you look at the surface, that's kind of where you'll find a lot of the difference between LP and near mint. See that surface issues up at the top there? So, you know, when you're looking at a near mint card, the light hits it and there's no surface imperfections. It's pristine all the way around. You know, it looks the same when you look at it like this, as the Sky Cloud Expanse, because there's no chipping or edge wear, but when you hit the surface with that light, it's beautiful. No scratches, no dents, no nothing. Now, so that's going to be where a lot of your trouble when you're trusting someone else to grade the cards for you is going to come in. Is going to be a lot of the surface issues is what you're going to find. If you can get someone to send you high-res pictures of some of the higher-end stuff, so you can kind of get a general sense of the overall condition of the collection. Like the one we picked up in New Orleans, it was probably in the MP range, but there was a lot of nice LP, so a lot of stuff had been sitting in sleeves for, 25 years or so. Actually, this is one of the ones that was, and you can see when something sits in an old sleeve for 25 years, you can see some of those surface issues start to develop, I believe, from the sleeve. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff, but some of the newer mid-90s stuff was beautiful, pristine, kept in a binder, sleeved immediately. So this is going to be, this is what I consider moderately played. So most cards you come across are going to be LP. That's, you saw the distribution, near mint and moderately played. If you're looking at, if you're doing your due diligence and you're making sure the grades of the cards are going to have a nice level distribution, which is kind of what you're shooting for. It's pretty rare that you get in a collection that's all near mint, unless it was a collector and not player who opened packs and put them right into sleeves. And even then, depending on the age of the collection, just age wear and sitting in some of these older sleeves that weren't like PVC free and non-acid, whatever all the specifications are for them nowadays. It wasn't like that back in the day. So as long as you're, doing your due diligence, you should get an equal distribution of near mint and moderately played. LP is going to be your biggest one because that's most cards, but look at those levels. And this is two different collections. Near mint and moderately played are pretty much exactly level. And that's kind of what you want to see after you grade a collection or a series of collections. You definitely want to see that. You definitely want to see those two piles being your smallest. This is actually fairly large. Usually you only have a few. It looks like there's a decent amount of water damage on some of these cards. On some of the damaged cards, that's where a majority of the damage is. And you can tell water damage by... Let's find a good example. So we looked at it a little bit in the New Orleans collection video, but the blue on the Birds of Paradise, can you see that? Look at the Royal Assassin. See the white? See how you can the white border on the Birds of Paradise looks kind of blue? That's from water damage. But obviously that one is warped, so that's going to be water damage. But then also, sorry, Is this the one? Do you hear that? Hear that fluxing? That popping noise? Usually when that happens, that's from water damage. Some sort of humidity. Sometimes you can't always tell from their... The cards get a certain look when they're water damaged. This is probably a good example. The older ones are kind of hard to tell. Here you go. There's a good example. See at the top there, that wrinkling? That's obvious signs of water damage. But sometimes that doesn't really present. The card's just bowed, and it has that popping, makes that popping noise. That is most likely, my guess, is from intense humidity or something along those lines. So, it's very important that this is your distribution. I mean, obviously, we want to see MP lower. I mean, a great collection is near mints. Near mint and LP are kind of equal, and there's very little MP. Because the problem with MP is fine, and the price difference isn't crazy for most mid-level cards. But the problem with MP is they don't sell as fast. So they may sit there for, months and months on your TCGplayer inventory and sell slowly. So that's the issue with those. But like a great collection, near mint and LP will be stacked even, or even near mint is higher than LP. That's a great collection. The thing with this distribution is where you're going to make, this is your 15% profit distribution. TCG low is often pulling from the lowest LP condition. So, if they're in near mint, usually you will hit the low or exceed the low after fees. So as your net profit on a single card will probably be your LP low. So therefore, if you're netting 100%, you're making 30%, right? On this, you'll net probably 10%. So there's a big jump, and that's not always the case, but that's a best case scenario. So you'll make more than TCG low on this, or you'll at least you'll make between 10% off. The profit margin is larger for near mint. You're going to be looking at more like 20% after fees on near mint cards in the profit margin. LP, you're going to be straight 10 to 15% profit depending on if cards are going up or going down. MP, you're probably going to hit more like 5 to 10%. So these kind of level out, and this will be your steady, sturdy 10 to 15%. So that's why grading is important. If you luck out and get a collection that's all near mint, well, you're probably going to turn 25% on that collection. So that's kind of what grading is and how it works. Let's show you the TCGplayer low listing kind of page. So let's go to something we're going to upload right now. Broodstar Mirrodin. I don't even know if this card is worth any money. It is not. It is a 67-cent card. So usually at this phase too, I've pulled out a lot of the rares from the collection, but I haven't really sorted them into what's worth money and what hasn't. So I'll grade everything, and then I'll kind of go through and like pull out the stuff that is just bulk rares and whatnot. So we'll use this example either way. So if you look, this is the TCGplayer. So there's kind of the tabs. This is the seller portal. When you look on the left, see that low, average, high? That's when people talk about TCG low, that's what they're talking about, right? So the TCG low on this card is 25 cents. So that 25 cents is pulling from that LP lowest listed. So you've got the TCG lowest listing, you've got the condition, last sold listing, and it doesn't tell you when it was sold, so sometimes with older cards like Alpha and Beta that's a little tricky, and then the market price. So you'll see the swings between market prices 67 cents and the lowest listed is 40 cents. So someone can go buy a near mint copy on TCG right now for 40 cents. And that's why lowest listing is the market standard for what people buy and sell collections at. Because you can't go by market price. No one's paying 67 cents for a 40-cent card, right? So that's kind of how that works. So that's that whole portal, and that's where you upload your cards. You just put the quantity in, the condition, and kind of upload your inventory that way. Let's look at a few more examples of near mint. So to me, like I said, I'll find something. I think these Mystic Remoras had a little bit of, they weren't perfect, but it was, the surface is completely pristine, and overall they're just great. I think is that dust? No. So that might have been the only imperfection on the card, which I'm okay with at near mint. Look at that surface; it's beautiful. So that's kind of my see that little nick at the top. Are you gonna focus? Come on, baby. Does not want to focus. Can't get that close. See that little nick at the top? But it's not. You can't really. It's just kind of on the top of the card. It's not so much on the surface. So I would still consider that near mint, but that's on the border for me. That's very borderline for me as far as near mint and LP. And we looked at this LP Sky Cloud Expanse. That was LP for surface issues. Let's find something else. Let's find a white border. So the Soul Ring. Looks really clean and nice on the front. The surface looks good. But if you look at the back, there's some... The surface of the back looks great, and there's some chipping along that edge. But that's really all that there is. There's some chipping along this edge too. But, so really it's a balancing... Grading is a balancing act, right? If the surface is great, there's not a lot of edge wear, and there's just some chips, then that's okay for LP. But once you start getting into edge wear and chips and some scuffing, and that's when you start to get into the moderately played. If there's a few small things, but overall it's a good looking card, that's where you're looking at your lightly played. That's kind of the theory that I go along with. Near mint needs to be pristine or one flaw, to me. A few flaws is what TCGplayer says, but I usually stick with one small flaw gets through near mint, or is pristine. If it's a pristine card with a fairly large flaw, like a slightly bent but not creased corner, that goes in LP for me. Or if there's a small dent in the card, let's see if we can find something dented. There's a lot of different flaws that can exist on cards. Here we go. Here's a good example of a dented card. That's a pretty big dent, but so this one I graded at heavily played, and it looks it looks pretty good. You know, the surface has some issues. There's some scuffing and whatnot. There's a little bit of a no crease bend over here, but really it's the dent, because that dent is so large, and it looks like it's probably a binder ring dent or something. That mark right there is pretty, and the way it goes to the edge is pretty significant, and kind of like tells me it was a binder ding, or some sort of bind. It's not really a binder ding. It's like the card slipped out and got bent on it. Not sure, but that's kind of, if it's got a small version of that and it's overall near mint, then it would go to the LP category. If it's got a much larger dent, like if that card was pristine with that dent, I'd probably put it as a moderately played. But because it's got surface issues, that large dent, that little bit bend, I mean, to me that's heavily played. It's got lots of issues going on. Moderately played is going to be your widest category. It's going to go from like just under LP, you know, just a few too many chips around the edges. You know, like this is getting to the point where it's almost an MP. If there were more chips all the way around, you know, that I'd probably grade that as an MP. But the surface is great still, so but that's going to be your widest variation. I mean, there's stuff in the moderately played category that, like this Tekka's Dragon, right? Looks pretty good. There's some weird scratching at the top. It looks way worse on camera than it actually is. You can't even see like there. That's what it actually looks like. But once that light hits it, it looks like someone just straight up scratched it with a tool or something. But she looks pretty good. She's just, overall, there's a lot of scuffing on the back, so that's a pretty nice MP. And then there's stuff like, you know, this is getting to the low end of moderately played. You know, there's a lot of edge wear there on the back, a lot of white around the edges, and on the front too. The surface isn't great. You know, so that's still, to me, moderately played, because until you get that heavy whitening around the edges, I still consider that moderately played. But that's going to be your widest variation from like, it looks pretty good, to like, it's almost heavy. LP is going to be your second widest. You know, it's going to go from a little bit of scuffing, a little bit of chips, a little bit of this, that. There's not much of a range here, you know. It's not near mint. It can't be considered near mint. There's too many imperfections, but it's not to the point where there's a lot of edge wear. It's just a few small chips, few small things here and there. Near mint's going to be your strictest category, obviously. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email down below here. ThaGoodsMTG, ThaGoodsMTG or if you've got a collection to sell, or if you need help grading, or if you just want to chat, or if you want to, you know, whatever. Hopefully we'll do more videos like this soon. We'll actually go through the process of uploading on TCG. We'll go fully through the portal, so you can kind of see what the back end looks like, and the payment section and the orders section, and how to print your orders and all that jazz. But just wanted to do, while I was grading here, I just wanted to do a small video on grading and how to tell the difference. If you want me to go more in depth and maybe grade cards on the spot, let me know. I'll do another short video and can, you know, put that up in conjunction with this. Hope everyone's having a great night, great day, great wherever you are in the world. Talk to you soon. Peace.